Hey y'all, Binks here, and welcome to another Marvel Snap OTA review. This one kind of hurts, especially how it's going to start off. You know, we got to talk about Mobius, a 3-3, now becoming a 3-4. Many strategies are using cost reduction as an effective means to augment their game plan in both combo decks and mid-range ones. This is a normal part of Snap, but the prominence of these cards has been steadily on the rise. Want to make sure that you have efforts to make sure there's some counterplay. Hope that increasing Mobius's power as a result, lowering the opportunity cost to play him, will give players more reasonable access to a tool to manage some of these cost reduction raw strength, as well as helping to limit some of the difficulty in being able to effectively plan against the outputs from turn to turn. If you watch me a lot, you know I am probably the biggest Mobius hater out there. I do not run it in any of my decks. I just hate the card. I personally feel, I understand from a gameplay perspective that Mobius is probably something that's good and keeps the meta in check. But from a personal bias of me as a player, what I have found is that the more often that Mobius is in the game, the less fun that I have. It kind of cuts off these very just like unfair feeling types of energy cheat with things like Mr. Fantastic and Surge, but it just nullifies so many different cards in the game. I mean, it makes it so you can't really do Black Belt stature stuff. It makes Miles Morales not work. Like all these cards that are pretty fair and help make a lot of other archetypes work just get completely shut down by this card. I really dislike it. I hate that it's getting buffed, but I don't know. Let me know down below what you think. We jumped ahead. Let's talk about the rest of them. So we had the debut of Grand Arena. In today's update, we're going to be making an adjustment to a few cards that have been underperforming for some time, making adjustments to Dormammu and putting some downward pressure on a few consistent outperformers. So the first one is Sunspot, which they are really kind of ahead of this one because I think Sunspot is just becoming a problem. So like this end of turn, getting multiple Invisible Woman first step stuff, I think is just absolutely just broken. On my Twitter, I have a like all-in version of the deck. It just feels so unfair. It's very hard to tech around. And Sunspot is one of the best cards in that deck. I mean, if you get a quadruple end of turn and you full float, Sunspot can gain 24 power, which is it's just crazy. On top of all of your other cards gaining power and everything like that. So really strong. I think that bringing this down back to 1-0 is good. I don't know how much it's going to help. But maybe some of these other changes will help too. Gwenpool's getting pulled down to 4-5. I think this is great. This is long overdue. Galacta already got kind of like touched up in a somewhat similar sense to just kind of lower the output of just this universally very strong 4-drop that's good, not even when you're like hitting things like Brood. Longtime players won't be surprised by this change. Gwenpool's consistently been near the top of the charts. Where Galacta and Doom 2099 Usurper as the strongest 4-cost cards. This was back before things have changed, and they've kind of nerfed those. Slowly chipping away at the outliers present at 4-cost, as well as adjusting Zabu. I really like this. I think that this unhomogenizes decks. I've talked about this a lot. I think that it's really good. Tech card strategies, want to keep them in relative check. Love that. Her raw number output is just extremely high, and that's ignoring the synergy she gets with cards like Brood. I already kind of talked about that. Just really good. She was a 4-12 very often. She's an enjoyable card, and we want to just kind of touch her down. Similar to the Zabu change in the OTA, want to slightly attack that archetype sensitivity to raw number of points it generates. I think this is a really good change. Dormammu. So Dormammu got a point reduction, but it made the second ritual go from costing 3 to costing 2. This makes it so much easier to slot in on turns. I think that 3-cost cards are a real kind of turning point. When something costs 3, it's very hard to fit it into a turn because outside of the final turn, you can't fit it with anything 3 or bigger. And, outside of 5, you can't even fit it with anything but a 1-drop. So going down to 2, it lets you squeeze that in and get a different 3-drop to fit in like on turn 5 if you're going to play it into Null. Similar changes we've made a couple times now with cards like Captain Carter and the Ancient One. When cards ask players to engage in quests, sometimes it turns out there's a little too much of the player's game that only lasts 6 turns. So we're taking some strides to make Dormammu easier to set up and play by reducing the cost of the ritual. Very good change. I think that Dormammu is an interesting card, and I think that it's good. We put a lot of care in trying to make sure that Dormammu's sequence was sufficiently difficult to execute due to the nature of his functionality starting in your opening hand. There was a substantial fail case if we made the opportunity cost of executing his rituals too low, because you were not required to draw them. So basically, if everything was way too easy to play, it's just super easy to slot into a deck. It kind of makes sense. Now, obviously, you do have to destroy a card before the first one, so there's some like additional levels of the sequencing, but I definitely agree with that. We missed the mark a bit with the data to back it up. We're now trying to, I don't know what that word is, assuage the difficulty in casting him. This is a fairly risky change, and we acknowledge that, so we'll see how it goes. We might need to make more creative adjustments to give him the right spot. Love it. Love the change. Black Cat, another really interesting one, going from 2/6 to 1/5. So basically, they try to make Black Cat a 2/6 to make it a card that you play, but still no one ever played Black Cat as a card that you actually play. Maybe some people were trying her with like Fantastic card because she does get synergy with that. So they're going to make it so that you can always play her. Because if you had her in one of the 4 cost cards in your opening hand, which happened 1/3 of the time, you discarded her, which felt really bad. And then, you know, you can't play her until turn 2. But when she's a 1/5, you can just play her out on turn 1. Interesting to see. I think that this is a cool 1-cost card. Obviously, Killmonger exists, but maybe Black Cat sees some play. I mean, we've seen like Hydra Bob was really, really popular for a while as just being a 1/5. So if you have a deck that doesn't need to get to cards on particular turns, maybe Black Cat is something that you consider. Really cool. A couple awesome changes. Invisible Woman and Domino going to 2/4. I've talked about this actually quite a bit. Like, I think that with the power level of 2-cost cards is a pretty big problem, because really the cap of how much power a card would have without downside would be 3. So like it just got really hard to make these cards that don't have really spectacular effects, like things like Surge or Mr. Fantastic, to be able to fight for that spot. So moving a lot of these cards that don't necessarily have a downside, I guess Domino is kind of a downside, This Woman is kind of a downside, but moving more of these cards up to 2/4, I think is really, really, really awesome for them to do. And I think I really hope it's something that they continue to explore. So we're bringing these up to look out for similar opportunities to raise up cards that are underplayed by asking more from some of our more popular cards that are near always effective. Very, very cool. PTSD. We already talked about Mobius. Agony going from 1/2 to 1/3. I think that this one's kind of surprising, but I mean, it's fine. Like a 1-cost buffer. It kind of weird that Hulkbuster is still going to stay at 2/3 with Agony at 1/3. Maybe that's something that's in the books. So kind of probably really hard to play Hulkbuster now, unless you're using synergies of playing a Hulkbuster and then copying that card for, you know, various ways that you might want to do that. The ability to combine it with a variety of other cards and interesting synergies, and is something we want to prop up due to its unique gameplay and encourages, and the numbers have been tame enough for us to take a swing with her. Could be a good card. I love just buffing these small cards that don't really see play to overpower them and see what happens. Blink going to 5/8. I think Blink is a great card, man. We debated buffing Lockjaw and Blink, as most people enjoy playing them together. Both are slightly underperforming. We took the opportunity here with Blink first, given Lockjaw changes recently, as well as weaker nature of 5-cost cards in the game right now. I love that Blink is going up. I think that this card is really, really strong. It's probably going to continue to be really strong. I'm excited to try a little bit more with Lockjaw Blink. Great buff. We'll see if Blink sees a little bit more play, and maybe can fight off some of these more homogenized decks. Evolve the thing. So this is just like a mistake where the evolved thing was still showing up as 4/6, or still being a 4/6, even though the original thing got sent to a 4/7. So no real changes there. So that is all of the first level of buffs. I really like all these small buffs like Domino, Invisible Woman, Black Cat, Agony, all fantastic. Dormammu, yeah, keep taking swings with Dormammu. Dormammu is a really cool and interesting deck. It's very fun to play against. Gwenpool just kind of pulling that back in step. Sunspot trying to get ahead of this Invisible Woman stuff, which I do think is going to go after the meta. Invisible Woman getting buffed is actually good, because it's one of the only ways to fight against end of turn stuff. Invisible Woman, basically, in like Super Giant, are ways to get around that. So Invisible Woman getting buffed is really fun. I'm excited to try some like Invisible Woman, Shadow King into Grandmaster to try and hit 2 lanes after the turn to blow up some of these decks. I think that could be cool. But that is not the end of the changes. We also have a change for Grand Arena specifically. So we have Mole Man not only in Grand Arena, but in normal play, going to a 3/4. So a card that's still available is getting buffed. I think that that's awesome. They saw that, you know, obviously Mad Thinker's bad, but I think that Mole Man has a lot of potential. I have a Mole Man deck I'm going to post in a couple of days that I think is really great, and this extra power will really, really help it out. They also buffed the Mole Man skill, so now it's only 1 cost and it always gives +3 power. So a big thing with Mole Man that was weird is that like the reduction didn't matter that much because you already have all these like 1-cost cards, and 1 to 0 isn't like it's pretty crazy for like burst turns, but you kind of would just run out of board spots. So getting +3 on all of them for only 1 is going to be crazy. So I think the Mole Man's going to be a lot better. They also adjusted Mole Man. We'll talk about that in a second. Herbie's skill also went from 3 to 4 cost. This is great. This is by far the best skill. You get 3 cost, and basically if you had 2 other cards in each of the other lanes, you were getting at a absolute minimum. You were getting 11 power and 2 energy next turn for 3 costs, which was crazy. And usually you'd get more than that because you're doubling Herbie. But that Herbie will already double, so you're getting extra value from that as well. Really, really insane skill. So going up to 4 costs, I think, is really good. And then they did a ban edition. They missed Super Scroll, which really upsets me. I think Super Scroll is really bad for modes like this. I wish that they had done Super Scroll. I think that maybe it's just because ongoing is so strong that being able to tech in Super Scroll if you're not an ongoing deck is good, but boy, oh boy, I just really don't like Super Scroll in these modes. It's just a very degenerate card. But they did hit some really important ones. I think the Agatha with the Doom skill was just too strong, so getting rid of Agatha, because you'd get so much like advantage on being able to target cards in your deck because Agatha pulls herself out of the deck, was really good. Sarah on 4 was too strong. This was my number 2 for a card that I wanted to get removed, and Eliath was my number 3, just because honestly, like, Eliath I think is kind of fine. It does feel really bad, but also because Invisible Woman is like a main hero, I think you definitely just want to get rid of Eliath. I love this. Storm getting changed I think is good. You don't want to have Storm War Machine stuff. It was pretty strong from people that were playing it. Juggernaut getting out of there I think is great. Juggernaut's just like a kind of 1-card win condition that could be really annoying. The Viper is really good. There was some weird things with like sending over a Carnage and then using the skill, but also just like trying to limit Clog as much as you can, I think is good. And Cannonball is really great. Pretty much gets rid of Mercury as well, but Mercury Cannonball was so strong in that mode with the extra energy. So really great to see that they're cutting these, and hopefully Grand Arena will be in a better place. I will give it a try again. I said it wasn't going to be till Super Scroll was gone, but there seems to be a lot of good changes. They also changed 2 pre-constructed decks. They changed the Mole Man pre-constructed deck, got rid of Esme Cuckoo, which was in there for some reason. Got rid of the Eson, which didn't really make sense. Got rid of the Iron Patriot, and they go with Surge, Blue Marvel, Ancient One. I love this. Give us more ways to get multiple Victoria hands, especially with the extra energy. It's a lot easier to do, and another good target for it in Blue Marvel. The Mole Man deck probably gets way better, especially because the card that you start with gets an extra power, and the skill is way stronger. So look out for Mole Man to come up, which was one of the worst decks before. I think I'm at tier 3. I would definitely, if I did it again, put him at tier 4. I just really like the idea, but it just didn't really work. So with these changes, I think that this is going to be much stronger pre-constructed deck. And then with the Dr. Doom deck, they get rid of Jennifer Kale, which didn't really make sense. Nocturne, which didn't really make sense. Gore, which was just frustrating because there wasn't that many on reveals in the mode. And then Astral Projection, which again with Doom 2099 and the extra energy just didn't really make too much sense. They added Lockjaw White Tiger, which is kind of weird, but like White Tiger Blink stuff is cool. So I get it. There's some cool synergy, especially with Lockjaw coming in. And then just 2 big cards in Magento and Red Hulk outside of just using Gore before. Probably gets a lot better. I don't know how strong the Doom pre-constructed deck will be after this. The skill is still pretty good. Maybe it's a little bit better if you could just like ramp out like Magentos or Red Hulks, or maybe playing just like 2 giant cards in the final turn is good enough now. So we'll see. It'll be really cool. But overall, that's everything. Hope you liked the little skit at the beginning. I do think outside of the Mobius change and missing Super Scroll on the ban list, just a generally good thing. I don't think the meta's in too bad of a place right now. The only thing I'm scared of is the Invisible Woman stuff, but hopefully things like Super Giant, which got buffed recently, and Invisible Woman being a little stronger, maybe there'll be some good counterplay that'll shut down those decks and make it not feel like free wins if you are able to get the combo, which it seems like now. But overall, again, thank you so much for watching these reviews. I know these are new. Please like, send a comment down below. Let me know what you think. It really helps out, and hit the subscribe button. If you're new here, thank you so much for watching.
Binks. I hope you like the vibe. Binks. Like and subscribe. Binks. I hope you like the vibe. Binks. Like and subscribe.